Today we've got restored mills, we've got abandoned locks, we've got restored locks, we've got bridges, we've got absolutely everything. Today I'm on the Derby and Sandy Acre Canal, and we're at an area called Borrowash, which is just towards the very eastern end of the canal. Sorry about the background noise here. You can just about see the remains of the walls of an aqueduct below us here on this stream. So that's something that's going to have to be replaced at some point. I mean, the canal channel can be replaced down through here. And you've got what looks like a bit of a sluice there down into the stream as well, which looks to be fairly intact. Then in front of us, you have this absolutely fantastic lock. It's been largely restored. I'm not sure what work needs to be done on it, but apart from the gates obviously. But it looks like they've done a cracking job on getting this sort of up and together. They come down here on a Wednesday, I believe, for a work party. So if you ever want to join them, please do pop onto their website and find out about it. The canal is quite lost in places, this one. But they have some pretty ambitious plans, and they want to drop back into the river. With a boat lift, with an aqueduct by it, and all sorts. You'd have seen this on my first video on this canal. And this is quite an exciting project, as you probably know, and needs some support really. So please check out their membership as well, which would be a big help to them, because these projects can't happen without enough people saying, yes, I want to do this. And membership is the best way to prove that. So they managed to dig this lock out in 1998, and it was with the help of a local builder. And then the bit in front of us was done by the Inland Waterways Association groups. That's another group, as a sort of canal enthusiasts, you need to support. They've lost a huge amount of their membership since the 80s when they were massive, and they still do so much for the canal network. They organise a lot of the rallies, they organise a lot of the work parties that go out around the country, the WRG groups. There's loads of petitions going on and all that lot as well. So again, in the description will be a link where you can sign up to the IWA and get their fabulous magazine as well. So we'll walk now down to the next lock where there's a lot more work going on. And on the right hand side here, there used to be a cut that used to go into a very large mill that fed down into a mill pond, which was about 15 foot below the canal. And that's obviously all now lost under this much newer housing estate. But they do hope to fill this section at some point with the potential of boat trips, I guess. But as you can see, it's very clear and well managed here, so they're doing a great job. So the mill itself was part steam and part water powered, and that drop from the stream down into that mill pond was obviously the water side of it. They eventually sort of lead mills were built around the mill pond as well, so it was quite a big area, and then the actual mill itself turned into a blacking mill. But this is where the main work is going on up here at the moment. This is the walls they are restoring and have been for a little while now. I don't know if this was maybe a wharf here for the mills originally, so they call this a wash wall. And from my knowledge, a wash wall was always something that was kind of waterproof, and it was built to sort of strengthen the embankment. So I'm not too sure if this needs to be all sort of taken out and repointed, but they've been slowly digging out more and more of it and finding it sort of buried, much like here. Look, you can see it's still very dirty, but the wall is definitely there. And once this is all done, I expect they can maybe start looking at filling this up like they said. Now it looks like they're doing this side at the moment, because that side's got a nice grass layer on, and does look like in places it's been sort of rebuilt. It's heavy work this, because these blocks are not the easiest to move. Even these little ones are pretty big. Look, this is probably the best time to see it, to be honest with you, because you can see there's quite a lot of reeds in here, and they look like they're dead now, but give it a few weeks you can actually see some starting to sprout just in there. There's some greener spots just there. So this is soon gonna be massive and reeded, and you wouldn't see the other side. And the reeds are a nightmare on canals when you're restoring them, because you're constantly fighting to control the growth of them, and unless you every year pull as much of it out as you can, it just gets worse and worse. This bridge here has obviously been lost, so there will be a replacement needed here. This sits on the end of the lock, which goes up just over here. You've got the railway just down to the side here, so that wall does need to be really solid, because the last thing they want to do is fill the canal with water and then it leaks down into the line, which is going to cause them a hell of a lot of problems. So it's good that they're doing so much work to it to try and make sure it's all sort of stable in there. That's quite a cool cut there for the railway line as well. And the other lock would have been just over here. Now, this is my first visit here. I've not sort of checked this one out before I've arrived, and I don't know if there's anything sort of existing of it. So we'll have a little look up through and see what we can find. That wall there though, that red brick wall, definitely looks older than the houses that are there. You can see lower down where it's sort of blown and stuff, which is often done by repairs on old bricks. You used to use a lime mortar, and the lime mortar used to be good for the water and stuff like that. It used to allow movement of the water through the bricks. And modern mortar doesn't. And what happens is the water soaks into the brick, and then when it freezes, it blows that face out. So I'd say that wall is probably canal age. So the lock should have been around here somewhere, and we're definitely going uphill at the moment as well, so this is obviously a big project for them to do. And then above the lock, the actual canal line is still very visible. There's a few trees in the way, but nothing really to worry about. So this could easily be restored along here. I'm not sure what the current plans are from this trust to how far they're going to take this at the moment, but with their plans in the sort of city centre, is it City Derby? I think it is. Then, you know, it's quite likely that this is going to be part of quite a major canal linking through. And that ambition they've got is really evident on their website. So it's well worth a look to see some of the videos for the centre and the lifts and the marinas and everything they've got planned down there. So we're going to go a bit further back down the canal the way we came, to a place called Draycott, where the trust have been doing further work, and see what's happening there. Let's jump across now. So we've only jumped about half a mile over these fields here, and we are at a road bridge. Now this is really good to see, because a lot of canals struggle when they get to roads. It's holding up so many big canal restorations at the moment, like the Lichfield, the Wilson Barks and many others, because roads are expensive to move. Like railways, they're really expensive to move. So it's good to see this bridge here. And then we're coming up into, like I say, the Draycott section. And the first thing we see here is a fenced off enclosure, and that's for water voles. So when work's been going on up here, which you'll see as we come around this corner just a bit further on, they have moved water voles from there into this habitat here to protect them. And that's good again to see, because they're protecting nature by creating an enclosure where they're safe. Once the work's done, they can be released into the refill canal. Now I'm not too sure exactly what's happening down here, because the signposts up there say 2021. Obviously we were in a bit of problem then with COVID, so I'm not sure if it's been delayed and work's going on now, because I know they've been working down here. But it's again good to see these habitats. We're seeing water voles and otters and beavers as well on some parts of the canals. On the Wilson Barks near where I'm from in Chippenham, there's beavers, and that's amazing to see. They're actually in the river, in the meadow, where there's a lot of work been going on by the trust to restore the waterway through and the nature area, the wildflower meadows and all of that lot. So it's working. Canal restoration is definitely helping the environment. And when you come to a section like this where you have voles in there originally, in what is an ideal habitat on the canal when it's overgrown, because there's not really the water banks that the voles like. So what happens is, much like what's happening on the Cotswold Canal down between Dock and Pike Lock, they make a proper riparian habitat. They will plant everything that the voles want to eat and create the perfect habitat for them. So these things always look a bit bare when they start, but as they progress, the nature side just ticks every box. Really nice long straight section, which work's definitely happened down here. So I believe this might just still be here actually, because the voles have been released. Because if you actually look under here as well, where it goes down through that channel, that's all open. So I think the work's actually finished here, and that's just there as the enclosure is there to protect any that are still in there. So yeah, we go up this way now, and this leads up to Canal Cottages, which were restored a few years ago. There is some work just happening just here though, a little bit further up, which we'll get to now. And then just here was the former bridge. So this was an old concrete bridge, sort of load deck for farmers, and that's now been destroyed almost. And I'm not sure if there's a new bridge being built in here at all. They would have to get rid of that first one before they did anything anyway. And you can see by the rebar just in there just how low that was. So they've had quite a lot of flooding down here. I know they had really bad floods in all that heavy rain at the end of last year, and I know this area flooded. So I wonder if that's also been removed to allow a better flow through, because that is a very, very small sort of culvert that was underneath there before, where you've got a much sort of bigger profile channel. All of that behind us here has definitely been built up. Part of the works was to build the embankment up so it was the right height for the canal, but I think the reprofiling's all been done in the channel because it's a good profile down here, so I'm pretty confident that work is finished now. Now, if you don't subscribe to my channel, please do. There's quite a few people who watch this video who don't subscribe at all, so I'm trying to get my count up to 30,000. Hopefully by the time this comes out it'll be there, but fingers crossed. And then just at the end of this video we come to Canal cottages, which are just emerging on our left hand side now, and these were completed 26 years after the canal was built in 1822, but it didn't last very long. It was originally a mill. It produced thread for weaving cloth, but it didn't have a very long life and closed in 1834. It was then converted into 9 cottages and then eventually in 1850 down to 6. The last person to live in these moved out in 1985 and they fell into disrepair. They were then brought by a trustee from the trust in 2017 and converted into some houses and a cafe, which I've just been in and is very nice, so well worth a visit. The canal then carries on further down that way and eventually goes under the M1, well hopefully will, and onto the Borrowash Canal, which is a navigable canal which goes up to the Great Northern Basin and onto the Cromford Canal. So I'm going to end this one here. Hopefully you've enjoyed it, and maybe I can get back to the Derby Canal at some point as work progresses a bit further down, and hopefully we'll see some pretty impressive structures in the next few years as well. Have a great day.